and welcome to episode 215 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm dead now.
This is George R. R. Martin himself.
Try finger, butthole.
Just, you know, a true inspiration of our time. He's just like one of the greatest minds of our time.
Yep.
Oh, Jeff, video games, they're a happening these days.
Yeah, so I say we just get into it, Darby. Well, let's announce, because we said at the end of last episode, we are going for the foreseeable future a bi-weekly format. And by bi-weekly, it's the every 2 weeks and not twice a week bi-weekly.
Correct. Yes. Good thing to point out there. Yes, correct.
So yeah, we are hoping to, you know, may try some different things, may stream more and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna do some other things. We just need a little bit more flexibility with adult life and everything, but it'll just be meatier episode, like topic-wise episodes, and it'll be good. Yeah, it'll still be
this week. Oh boy.
Ooh, it's a doozy this week. Yep. It's a doozy, and I mean, not necessarily expected to be a doozy, because like neither of us were FromSoft people and everything.
Yep. But let's get into it. Darby and I have both been playing their Elden Ring.
All the kids are doing it.
Yes, true. All the kids are.
And the peer pressure works. The peer pressure works, ladies and gentlemen.
We got them. I mean, I'm also a new to FromSoft, I decided to do it on my own. I kind of peer pressured you into getting the game.
Sure. But this is a new experience for both of us.
It is. Which is kind of, you know, interesting as for a conversation, because yeah, most people doing it at least have some experience with FromSoft. So
correct.
We are two newbies.
Yeah, two complete newbies who, I think I can speak for Jeff, are freaking obsessed.
Yeah.
Like, I am addicted to this video game.
Damn good video game.
So I do think that gives credence to like all the hype and all the praise it's getting. It's not just FromSoft people. There's, you know, I've never played one of these games in my life. I've been very scared off of a lot of them. And I really am loving this game.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that I know some FromSoft fans were skeptical of this game, and I think rightfully so, because this is an open world game. To simplify it, it is Dark Souls in an open world. That is what it is. But just the way they do it with the, you know, you can tell there's some open world games where, you know, they can be really fun, but you can tell they're just kind of copy and paste. You can tell this game, they really took their time to design where things are and to work things out and all that kind of shit.
Well, and that's kind of part of the open world design. There's going to be I'm going to have definitely a lot of just general open world discussion here, because I think Elden Ring brings up a lot of interesting things. But the world has to be that meticulously, purposefully designed, because of how kind of opaque and non-transparent the world is. Yeah, like basically, because they are not saying this is this type of quest, this is here's the important place you need to be. Here is not like on a map. You can't just pull up a map and see like, okay, this is where I need to go do this or whatever. Yeah, that's not there in this game or whatever. So to make up for that, you need to have a world that just people traversing the world are going to either run into things that are super duper interesting, or are going to be drawn in a direction of something that is interesting. And it has to be done in a way to where like you can tackle this in any order, any way you want or whatever. But when you give players that much freedom but don't really hold their hand that much, your world has to read. You know, you have to be able to read that world as you're playing. And I think it's just, they literally were able to take what apparently they are just amazing at with level design and translate that into a completely open space, which is a very different design. Yeah, but they just nailed it. They just like really nailed it.
Yeah, I think that again, like I said, I know some FromSoft people were kind of skeptical of this. Again, I think rightfully so, because, you know, we've had games like Cyberpunk that came out, a lot of people like, but didn't live up to the hype. And Elden Ring, to a smaller scale, Cyberpunk was more wide appeal. Elden Ring has a lot of appeal, but yeah, it was like at that level as we were approaching the game, like this is going to change the game.
Oh, for sure.
But this seems to have actually hit that. Like it's one of, if not the top review game of all time on some sites. It's going to be, I think it's safe to say, be considered a masterpiece, top game of the generation, if not the top game of the generation, stuff like that.
I mean, I'm probably only halfway, if not less than halfway through done with this
You're
game,
less than
halfway. But I mean, I'm there right now, and to be honest, I'm a little, not a little, I'm very shocked that I'm here right now, because after everything, I expected to enjoy this game, but I fully was expecting to feel like it was overhyped and to be like, it's good, but it's not. Or it's even great, but it's not transcended.
Game of the gen kind of talk.
Right, yeah. I fully expected to come in here and say, all right, let's pump our brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can't say that right now, which is wild. I mean, 'cause this is not normally what I would consider my type of game. I don't get into a lot of like super hard games, which we'll get into that. I think in a lot of ways, it's not quite as hard as like punishingly hard as like people made it out to be, at least so far. Yeah. But in general, just like a game, I haven't been this drawn into an open world since Red Dead Redemption 2 and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Like that is, it just has not happened since then. Before then or after then, I mean, this is like on par with that for me.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
We're just like, when I'm not playing the game, I'm just thinking about, all right, what am I going to do next? Where am I going to go next or whatever? And just every single time I play the game, something new that's just interesting that I never could have thought happens. And it just happens at such a steady clip that it's addicting. I mean, it really makes you want to be playing it.
Yeah, and what's kind of fun for us is, you're saying finding all this stuff and discovering stuff. Something we've done, which I think it's just that we've never done with a single player game, is me, you, and our friend Alex have jumped on Discord while we're all playing at the same time to talk and just kind of helping each other and just kind of like, we're like, oh, I discovered this, and it'll be either we're like, wait, really? Some of us will be like, wait, really? It's like, oh yeah, I found that. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, because, yeah, we were playing together some, but most of it was just like, yeah, us doing our separate things in between you two, and then, like, I have a friend at work that's playing, and just, like, us all, like, kind of sharing things, and they'll equally be things like, oh, yeah, I did that before, I know about that, and you'll say something, and be like, wait, what?
You can do that?
You did what? Like, how's that work?
Well, and we were just watching Kyle Bosman stream a little bit. He was in a pretty early area, and then he just happened to look up and see something. I'm like, wait, that's there. Well, Kyle, open the map. I need to know where this is.
Which, it's like, it's such an interesting thing. Like, even after playing Elden Ring, I still understand how, like, some people would be kind of frustrated at its design and everything, because like it's a very delicate balance of, there are so many things that it just does not explain to you and just don't make sense if you're not talking to other people or you're not doing, like there's just a lot of things that you have to either figure out for yourself, or you just never figure out,
or look it up.
Or you look it up or something, and all of those are satisfying things or whatever. But like I understand how someone could buy Elden Ring, be playing it, and just get frustrated and then not want to play. And I think that's a valid thing. It's not even for how much it's catching on, how much it's selling, it still does not strike me as like a super easy mass appeal game design. Intentionally so. They want you to have that sense of discovery, and because of that, I think it's a whole new thing that I haven't really experienced in many video games. Yeah, but it also comes at a,
I'm very curious once we get the exact sale numbers. I expect the next week or so, Bamco will give some number, because there's no way this hasn't reached the sales thing where they're going to be proud of it and want to straight up. Because, and for people who don't know, in Japan is the best selling From Software game, like in its first week or however many days ever, by I think a decent amount. And in the UK, it's the best-selling non-FIFA Call of Duty game since Red Dead Redemption 2, which has gone on to sell over 30 million copies.
That's wild.
So I think it's safe to say it is a big hit that probably I mean, again, we need to see the exact numbers.
Yeah, bigger than what I thought.
Yeah, I think it was gonna be bigger than I expected, because I expected this kind of have a ceiling, because, well, I think Sekiro did 5 million, which is still like, probably, I expect Elden Ring to maybe do slightly above that, maybe at its max, but now it's like, okay, well, sky's the limit for this game, because I do feel like it got me in, like I quote unquote help peer pressure you into it, but whatever it did drew me in. It seems to be doing that for more people, because I see more people talking about this game than other From Software launches.
I didn't understand any of this until we actually saw people like traversing the open world and do stuff. Whenever they had that first big gameplay reveal, that's when I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting it. When it was just a trailer of a bunch of FromSoft fantasy looking dudes fighting each other, I was like, okay, I mean, it looks like a FromSoft game. Like, why are we like losing our mind specifically about this one? I didn't really get it back then, but like I started getting it once we got up to here, and then now playing it. And I think, and I want to focus on Elden Ring, but I think after this, I do think I am gonna go play other FromSoft games, because I really like the way the combat feels and the way the games are designed and everything. I do feel like I'm gonna be shocked if any of the other games beat Elden Ring for me, because a very big part of why I love this is the openness of it. Is the how big that world is, how far you can traverse, and like just the fact that it's giving me that Breath of the Wild feeling of I just get on the horse and just ride. I'm just not with no goal.
I agree. Especially a mixture of it being our first one and the open world thing. I don't see a FromSoft game probably beating this for us, unless they make a better sequel or something another. But up to this point, the game's releases, I don't see any of the past ones beating it for us. It might be some other people might have a different favorite, but for us,
right? Yeah, then
just be shocked.
That's perfectly fine.
Yep.
But I definitely want to talk about just the game itself, because I was definitely concerned with these games have a reputation about them. I am not like the best at most games. It usually takes me like longer to get there, especially with like more actiony, dodging and timing based games like this. But I am FYI, I'm like 20 something, I'm like 21, 22, I think I might be more like 23 actually, something like that, hours in, and I'm playing just a full mage build.
Easy mode.
Yeah, which apparently is like easy mode, which I can see in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, I think it is a lot easier. There are obviously, the great thing about this game is there are so many different builds, and it will just completely change the game for you. There'll be some bosses that are way easier for me because I'm able to do long range and do all this, and it's harder for you guys, but then there'll be the other way around, where there'll be some boss that's just like going fast all over the place, and I can't, because I'm fragile.
So I'm on a weird thing that at this point is far enough to the game to when I started the Confessor build for people who know all that kind of stuff. So I make sure between the kind of incantations and a little bit of sorcery with the physical thing, so I might be a little spread thin, so I may not get the exact like, oh, this boss is greatly easy for one kind or the other, because I'm not as good as one or the other necessarily at the moment. So again, I'm interested to, like I've talked to Darby about it, getting the respec item to kind of redistribute my stats maybe a little bit.
But I'm interested to know what you think, because I say if someone else is kind of like me and you, where like if you just enjoy open world games, especially if you enjoy like Breath of the Wild, Red Dead Redemption, I would like put that in there too. Like those kind of open worlds where it is a lot more about the like you discovering the world in the game, in the world, and less of like, it's less story centric. It's more like, I mean, obviously Red Dead was story centric, so it's not a one size fits all here, but it's like a lot more of just about exploration and everything. If you're just into that and you're at all into action-y games by any stretch, because I would not even say that I'm like action games are like my number, like anywhere near the top of my list of games, but if you are at all into that, I would recommend getting into this game, because yes, it is hard and it's challenging, and there's you're gonna die a lot and you just die fast in this game, but it's the learning curve of just like learning to like when to dodge and like just the kind of how FromSoft combat works does not take as long as I would have thought, as I thought it would take me to like master or to get my head around. And because of the open world nature of it, if anything, if you go in there and the boss just like boom destroys you or whatever, or you're just getting too frustrated with one boss, you can just go do literally anything else. There are like so many things at your disposal, and then after you go do all that stuff, if you come back, that boss is going to be easier because you're going to be stronger.
Because rooms are pretty plentiful, especially if you're just exploring. Like for an example, I think you were away, I don't know if you heard me say this, I found I can't remember what it's called. We see those golden runes everywhere. I got something that was like rune of some random dude's name. It seemed like I was like, oh, how much is this? It was. I mean, I know this isn't much for people who are far in the game by the time, like 12,500 runes, just right there, just on a dead body. And you just find, you may not find like that much all the time, obviously, but you'll find a lot of like runes like that add up. So yeah, I feel like with this game, yeah, like you said, it still can be difficult and all that, but compared to other FromSoft games, for what I know, it gives you more stuff to do to kind of overcome the challenge even more. You know, the point where some FromSoft friends like, oh, all this stuff is easy mode, like with the summons, the spirit summons, which is something they've added, and they're really cool. And yes, they do make the fights easier, but you know, those are tools that are given to you, so use them.
Right. It seems like from what everyone said, it seems like the like game itself and the mechanics and like the boss designs and everything are really not any easier than the previous games. It's just you have more utility at your disposal and more interesting ways to get levels and to
besides grinding and everything like
whereas like if you get stuck in a Dark Souls and whatever, from what I understand, I think a lot of it is you're gonna have to just go fight a bunch of basic enemies to get, if you're wanting to just level up a bunch and get it stronger or whatever. Here it's just like the only time I've grinded is if I'm like 1,000 runes away from a level up, I'll go fight an enemy that gives me 1,000 runes and then level up so that I don't lose them. Because you know, if you die and then don't get back to your thing, you know, whatever. That's the most that I'll ever do. But it's like there's just so freaking much to do in this game of varying different levels. Because there's some catacombs that are just not that hard, and there's everything in between. So you just have an overabundance of things to do that's going to make the game easier and easier for you as it goes. But it's also satisfying as hell to take one of those bosses down. Like the combat system, I like really, really, really do love it. And I didn't really expect to. I've always watched these and thought like it kind of looks sluggish. It looks kind of clunky in a lot of ways. Like it just does not look as crisp and clean as people make it sound like it is. But once you get in there, you just have to use your head a lot in a fun way.
Yeah, the way I always looked at it is, I agree with you, was like it looks slow and clunky, but it always seems it looked deliberate.
Right.
Which is the main
like
thing.
Up here.
Yeah.
It's more of it is reflexes, but it's almost more of a brainy action system, you know, where it's like you need to think about when you're doing things, not just did you do it fast enough. It's like there's an element of that, but it's a way more of when the boss is doing this, I know he's about to be here, so I need to.
You need to time your dodge, because you're just spamming dodge roll. I mean, you're gonna get hit. You might get lucky sometimes to be able to get out of the way, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. The bosses definitely are designed to punish the people, and I was one of them who just like roll, because like those bosses have long ranges, and they'll just go.
Nope.
It's like, yeah, that's fine. Did you have any other things specifically about combat in the world and everything? Because I want to get into more of the open world comparison.
No, I just, like you said, kind of like the options for it. Like, again, I'm kind of a jack of all trades right now, which is something I'm going to have to change. But it's like easy to see like, oh, all this stuff is good and fun and all that kind of stuff, and see why someone can go and have fun going through those games with just a straight up heavy melee build, and then obviously the full magic. It gives you enough tools to do all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and I think it's also awesome the way they do it, again, with all these different, not really classes, but, you know, all these different options, because everyone's talking about, like, oh, yeah, already replaying the game, what they're going to do when they do it. It's like, yeah, that makes it viable.
I'm already thinking about that.
Yeah, it just, like you were saying, the bosses get all easier or harder depending on what you focus on, and it's easy to see, and that just makes the game very different.
And there hasn't been, even if some of them are less for me than others, I've seen people fight a little bit with a lot of different type of weapons, and almost every single time I'm like, ooh, that looks fun, or it just looks completely different than what I'm doing, and like the whole game just plays different.
Yeah, I think, like for me, if I were to do it, like when I go through this game again, since the only thing I'm not messing with is a very large weapon, so I'd probably get like a gut sword type thing and just go to town.
Yeah,
that's probably what I do.
Yeah, There's a lot of berserk in there.
Yeah, because I do like, for if you're someone like us who is the first time playing a FromSoft game, I definitely recommend either going like a build that either uses the sorcery or incantations, because I think it really does help newbies kind of ease into it a little more.
Yeah. And I mean,
especially early in the game.
Yeah, a big part of it for me is my brain is just wired as ranged
filth.
Ranged filth. That's the name of my character. Proud of
accurate.
It. I'm very accurate. Oh, that's just how my brain is wired in like all these games. I like the character that can like just get to the distance. I play like the kind of glass cannon back ranged character a lot. I mean, in League I play all like enchanter supports that are like super fragile but really ranged, and that's just how my brain is wired. When I did start with Vagabond for only like 2 hours, and I was having a fair amount of trouble, especially when I was fighting a bunch of different enemies. I would just kind of lose the people behind me and get backstabbed, and it was like whatever. And then when I switched to Mage, it was instantly everything clicked way more, and I was like, oh, this is way more my jam. way more my jam. Yeah, and I want to talk about there's no shade whatsoever, because I enjoyed a lot of these games, and I used to and still do enjoy games like, and I don't want to shit on it, but like Horizon. I mean, it's just the one that's like right here at the same time or whatever. But you know, Horizon, Assassin's Creed. I mean, a lot of these type of games or whatever. I think there's just something to be said about the open world design for Elden Ring, and just how it has similar things that these other games have, where it has like dungeons, and it has the NPCs that are asking you to do things, and it has like all these other things, a lot of the same like kind of connections to these other games. But I can do a direct line between it's those three games, that Red Dead Redemption, Breath of the Wild, and this. The act of discovering those things are just so much more rewarding in those three games than a lot of its other contemporaries. And I don't think it all comes down to one thing, but just the biggest thing is I think some of these other open worlds are too transparent in a lot of ways. I think they like don't withhold enough. If it's hard to word in the right way.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you. And Red Dead and Breath of the Wild do have this to a point, but not as much, I would say, other games overall. Like the whole checklisty thing, make it clear, like, oh, this is where you're supposed to go to advance the story, and just kind of like, and again, Red Dead's a lot more of a singular story, but part of the kind of, put it with the Breath of the Wild Elden Ring thing that kind of puts maybe a little closer to that is discovering just all these random people and all these stories is the hook for discovery in that is different than Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, but that's where it is, where a lot of Horizon and the Ghost of Tsushima's, Assassin's Creeds of the world, those kind of open world games, it just makes it obvious, okay, these are the major places. And, it makes it clear where you got to go. And these are the checkpoints where nothing crazy might happen story-wise or interesting. But, you got to get this tower to unlock the map.
Right. In some ways, it just feels like it kind of kneecaptured open world immediately, when it's just like, you can kind of immediately tell it's like, okay, well, this is not worth my time, because it's not, it's not marked as a quest thing. So this is probably like nothing. And I think a lot of them, you would notice, I think if they took that out, if they you just took a lot of the quest things out or whatever, I think a lot of these games, you would realize that their open world is not really well designed enough, and is not like the world itself. I was talking about Elden Ring just being a readable world. If you took those things out, you wouldn't know where to go in the Horizon or Assassin's Creed or a lot of these or whatever, because nothing distinguishes itself. You have to you need a quest thing to say, this is like an errand, this is the whatever, and then it's all just kind of instanced things in there. It doesn't really feel like natural, like flowing in the world. So I think, like, in order to pull something like this off with Elden Ring, you just have to be really, really, really on your game with designing these worlds. And I think way too many games are just trying to have quantity, to just have, because Elden Ring it feels vast and sprawling, but it's probably half the size of a lot of other, of like a Horizon map. It's probably like half the size of Horizon's map.
I'm curious to compare, because
I wouldn't be surprised if it is legitimately it's way smaller than these other ones. It is big, but But I mean, some of these maps are huge. I just think that sometimes developers focus way too much on it's huge and there's so many things, but don't focus on the quality of those.
I think like you mentioned the other day when we were talking, Elden Ring map may not be big again. I'm curious to see like the quote unquote square footage difference, but the density of like just the little thing I think is like where you're getting at the difference maker with this stuff, because there's a lot of things there. Like, again, you would find all these catacombs that have interesting things, whether it be a boss or you find an interesting item or, little puzzles and the different groups of enemies together and just all that kind of stuff. Like, especially since Elden Ring is a Souls game, just an open world, and FromSoft are the masters of combat and combat designs and all that kind of shit. It's like, you at least know these combat encounters are probably going to be interesting, and And if you sleep on it, well, you're just gonna die.
Yeah,
unless you're just crazy over leveled.
Yeah, and I mean, I was also one of the biggest things I was worried about was like Breath of the Wild. It has combat, but it also has all the puzzles and stuff and the shrines and the great beast, whatever they are,
divine beast,
fantastic beasts, and where to find them is like has like.
Sorry, Harry Potter's been canceled. We don't talk about that.
You're right. Sorry. Has its own like big cutscene. Basically, it had like a variety of different things. Yeah. My biggest concern with Elden Ring going into it was like, as far as I can tell, it's just kind of combat all the way down. So it's like, is this open world gonna get tiresome if it's just like everywhere I go, it's just like, okay, fight. But now that I'm in it, it's like all the combat, every combat encounter feels so much different because of the way that the enemies designed, because their AI is just probably 4 times better than any other game I've ever seen in my life, and just how it behaves, and it just keeps it interesting the entire time. And there's just plenty of other things to find, just finding things in the world and be like, how the hell does this work, and then having to slowly figure that out is super cool.
Yeah, and just enough variety there to like we've been to multiple like castles and catacombs, but there's not like an overabundance, at least at this point in the game, where we're like, oh, we're bored by this. And even like if you were like, oh, there's enough difference in them, to where it's like these are completely different things. Whether, again, like I said, what enemies are in them, and then obviously what will probably be a boss fight at the end.
I love that you can never fully trust this world, because there's like, for every time that you go down there and there's like, oh, there's cool chest with a really cool item, there'll be another chest that teleports you to some other hellscape or something in front of some like really strong enemies, or there'll just be nothing. Or like something will come out and like just kill you out of nowhere. Yeah. So it's like it makes you. It has this awesome sense of unease that you're always like. You can feel the developers, like they know exactly what you're gonna do and what your tendencies are, and they're gonna fuck with you sometimes. But then they're also gonna reward you. But then they're gonna fuck with you again. So you always feel a little unsafe, which is a fun dynamic.
Yeah. Also fun addition thing they added to this and needed in this open world game is I'm blanking on his name, the little horse.
Yeah, Torrent.
Yeah, Torrent. Good guy. Cool
Yeah.
guy.
I could not imagine. I mean, obviously you had to have a horse in this, but the horse, and like, as much as I adore this game, it's one of my favorite games I've ever played, I would probably not play this game if it didn't have fast travel. like I don't think the other From games have not really had fast travel like to this extent. The fact that you can just do it anywhere. Exactly. But like, that's essential. And you can fast travel from literally anywhere, which is so great.
There's an abundance of them. So.
But I mean, I'm just saying you can initiate fast travel. You don't even have to be at the site of grace. You can initiate that anywhere, which is great. I love it.
Yeah. Or also something that's nice, and there's kind of more of a accommodating thing that From has done here is like I just said, there's site of graces everywhere. So like when you move to a boss fight, and what we heard from other people in older FromSoft games, you may have to go through a gauntlet again to retry the boss. Here, it is very forgiving.
Oh, and that was every time I've talked about FromSoft games and not wanting to play them, that's been my number one thing, is that I don't have the patience for that. Like when it comes to dying over and over again, I want to get right back in there, because like, okay, I know what I did wrong, get me back in there. Put me back in. And I've been so pleasantly surprised that like I don't think there's been any boss that I've been like, all right, I'm gonna fight the things. I mean, like if there's any enemies in between me and the boss, I can just run right past them and the boss is right there. And and that's really rare. Usually you have one that's like right beside
the little Mariko statue, whatever the fuck it's called, but like right outside.
So you're like back fighting the boss in like literally 15 seconds, and it's so like it's been great. Yeah. And if it's too much worse than that or whatever in old games, that's going to be a struggle for me.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart play here. Yeah, just in general, just because of its open world nature and everything, there's just so many bosses that if you have to go through a gauntlet to get to a lot of them again, that's like they'll just wear on the player more than you actually probably intend.
And it feels like they knew that, they knew that it was necessary to make that change because of everything.
Yeah, I feel like they had to make some concessions from their normal design for this, but I think they typically have made the right choices. The only thing where I'm like, you guys should fix this is the multiplayer aspect of it.
Yes.
That's really annoying. People who don't know, the way multiplayer works here, well, you got to set a password if you want to do to your friends. You can't just like go on your friend account or whatever, friend Steam or whatever the fuck, and just decide to join it. The people that want to go into the game, to someone else's game, has to like use their magic finger thing to write a sign thing. Then the person that actually world you're going to has to use an item to highlight them.
And it is an item that you have to craft, by the way. Like you use them up and you have to keep crafting them.
You get a good bit of them, but it's still annoying. And then you do it. But every single time you succeed or someone dies or you lose, you got to do that whole process again and use up another item.
It's one of these things like you can't. There's no other side to this argument in my mind. Yeah. I love a lot of the cryptic weird shit in this game. It's part of what makes it great. When it comes to online multiplayer, that should just be a fucking menu option. I'm sorry. Like, there's no FromSoft magic with this. It's like, no, this does not make the game better. It actively makes it worse. Yeah. Where it's like, it's such a lengthy process. It's like, it makes it actually take a long time in between boss fights, where when you're alone, you can just go right back in there. And that just shouldn't be the case. It's 2022. It's like, this should just be, invite Jeff. You're in there, boom.
And just to make it clear, the people that are going into the, like, if we're going to Darby's world, me and Alex have to physically go to the place where Darby will be calling
which is also kind of annoying, but and like, if you die, you can't watch the rest of the fight. There's just a lot of dumb shit.
You don't get any of the benefits. You have to live, and if the host dies, then everyone gets kicked out.
Yeah, there's just some dumb things there for sure. And to speak, I was trying to think before this, like, what negative do I have to say about Elden Ring? It's very few things. That's one of them. The only other thing that's kind of a negative for me, but it honestly is barely even a negative because it just really doesn't matter to me. And I'm very interested to see where you come down on it. I have heard a lot. Everything that people have said about FromSoft Design has spoken true to me. That it's like, yeah, these guys are just freaking amazing, and I love it. Yeah. The one thing that I still feel like is kind of overblown is the storytelling. I think the world itself and like the environments and the things that happen, and obviously the gameplay is just gameplay centric or whatever, but like just kind of this area being so weird and everything, and like kind of how they get this way. And so there's some things about the environmental storytelling that I like and that are very cool to me. The actual characters that you're talking to and the like, just motivations of the characters or anything like that, I just really don't give a shit about. Like, not even a little bit.
They seem very basic.
Very, basic and just kind of melodramatic, but not in an interesting way. Yeah. It's like it's trying to be Shadow of the Colossus, but it's a lot worse at it. That's just the vibe I get. It just feels a bit pretentious and just like it thinks it's a lot more mysterious. It is mysterious, but not really in the sense that you don't know what's going on, and everyone just speaks, and every time I talk to anyone, I'm like, I just don't know. There hasn't been a single character in the game that has stuck with me even a little bit. I think no, because he's still just, hello, hit me, thank you, bye. It was like, hit my ass. It's just like, to me, I said this when we were talking the other day, Elden Ring to me is, and this is fine, I am okay with this. But Elden Ring is a video game video game to me. It's almost the equivalent of like a Mario game, like a 2D Mario game in there, where it's like, you don't care. You're not sitting here thinking about the story of Mario and what's the lore behind Mario. It's like he's a weird, goofy plumber that hits mushrooms for some reason. You just don't question it. It's like, whatever. That's kind of what this game is to me, where it's like the gameplay is so damn fun or whatever, and it's just like everything else just kind of doesn't matter, which is a good thing because I don't think it's very strong. I don't think everything around it is definitely not FromSoft's strength, I would say. You know, like, and the fact that everyone who talks about FromSoft lore being so good always talks about YouTubers breaking down everything. You know, I just think the actual act of playing them, as far as the lore coming at you, to me is not very satisfying. It's just kind of a thing that just washes over me as I go back to the gameplay. I don't know if you feel any bit similarly, but
yeah. And it's kind of like,
it's fine. Yeah, it's like, a video game.
I just kind of feel nothing about it at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I want to get to. It's like, it's not a detriment because it does not get in the way. It does not stand in your way enough to be a detriment. Yeah. You know, it's not like a story game that is just like bombarding me with text I don't care about, and it's like, oh my god, this is detracting from the experience. Elden Ring, it's just hello tarnished, blah 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 blah, and then they're done. And it's like, all right, away with you. It's like, so you can easily just kind of barrel on.
Cool boss here, quick thank you. You served your purpose.
And like, they almost know that you're not listening, because they'll just like at the end they'll be like, all right, here's an item. And they'll be like, okay, cool, thank you. I got the item. Now I was like,
thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yes. So that's my closest thing to a negative thing on Elden Ring. But I would still, if I was reviewing it, I would not let that. If I had to put a number on it, that probably wouldn't detract from the number at all, because it's like, it really doesn't matter. You can not give a shit about the lore whatsoever and have just as good of a time. You know?
What about that Odyssey lore, though?
Oh, wait, what?
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey lore is deep.
New dog, what are those people?
I mean, I like the new dog. I like the Mario Odyssey story more than Elden Ring. Yeah, like Cappy was a more interesting character. Peach at the end, the Peach Bowser moment or whatever, like spoilers or whatever, was a hyper story moment that Elden Ring's ever gonna have. So, you know, it's like, yeah. Elden Ring has style, and like the bosses and everything like are just fucking amazing, where it's like the music swells and there's this big thing. It's like the characters themselves look cool and the moments feel cool, but as far as like do you care about these Elden Lords doing it? Like when I fought Godfrey, whatever his name is, like he's cool, just he's like, oh yeah, he's the guy with the hands. You always talk about what they do gameplay wise, you don't talk about who they are as a character, because it's kind of nothing. It's kind of just, just treat it. It's a video game, video game, I would say.
The most important text are the messages to people.
Yeah, that's way better. I enjoy reading those way more than the actual dialogue. And can we just briefly talk about that for a second?
Sure.
How it's so perfect. And I agree with people. It's like this whole messaging system would fall apart and would not work if people could just
type anything.
Right. Because number one, it would kind of spoil things more than it does, but it would also not be as funny. It would not be nearly as funny. The fact that everyone has to like piece this together by these pre-made things, and it's so perfect, because you would be like, oh, well, they're just going to ruin the surprise of everything or ruin the challenge. They don't, because there's about just as many people are trying to help you, and there's just as many people trying to completely fuck you over, so you can never trust them completely. It's kind of genius.
Can't tell you how many walls I've hit. Just because
one of these times.
Apparently they're out there. I didn't believe it. Apparently there are illusionary walls.
I have not found one yet.
One day we'll find one.
One day. I love it when you come up to a ledge and everyone's like, try jumping.
Yep.
They're so fucking funny. I got to, it's like, why is it always gorgeous view? There's some just amazing ones. This game is so fucking good, y'all. Now I legitimately am a little worried about like what my game of the year is gonna be, because goddamn, it's coming out in a crazy year, because we might have Breath of the Wild and God of War, but I mean, I don't know. this has a chance.
Yeah,
This has a chance of beating those two.
yeah. I am going to be very curious. Like once
To me, at least.
Yeah, yeah. Once we get to the end of the year, because we talked about it off camera, the fact that if Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild 2, and God of War 2 come out, that is, talking about like game of the year and probably over for those years overall GOTY winners. The follow-ups to 3 of the last 5 years winners.
Yeah,
God of War, Breath of the Wild 1, and Sekiro.
Just all in 1 year. I mean,
well, and there's, I'm assuming it's coming out, Hollow Knight Silksong, which didn't get its time. The original one didn't get its time in the sun when it first came out because people got into it really late, but now everyone, at least a lot of people, are in on it, so that'll get a lot.
And you're getting 2 Pokemons in 1 calendar year, or 3 Pokemons, like Jeff. Just video games, man.
Well, they already talked about Elden for about 40 minutes. Ready to move on?
I suppose.
Don't worry, I'll talk about more Elden Ring.
Oh, we're gonna be talking about more Elden Ring.
I imagine we'll do like a spoiler cast-ish thing once we're both kind of done, when we'll go more into our stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our adventures.
And then, I mean, this is going to be coming up in Game of the Year. This will be like, I'm going to be back in the ring. Last year, I basically was sitting out of Game of the Year. Like, this year, oh boy, buckle up. It's going to be hard. This is going to be difficult.
I can already tell there's less games to bring to GOTY, just because there's so many more open world games I'm playing this year.
But the decisions are going to be fucking brutal.
True.
Brutal at the top. This is not going to be one of those years. Probably like they're usually I know what my number 1 is, and it's like, okay, just lock it in. No, I'm like,
I'm gonna toss everything aside and say Xenoblade.
Fair. This is fair.
All right, but what about that Kirby and the Forgotten Land? A demo was released yesterday, just shadow dropped, and me and you played it. Not a big one, just like the very first level and I assume first boss fight.
Mm-hmm. Just a little nibble, little nibble up there.
What do you think so far, Harvey?
I like it. It is very charming, very cute. It feels like kind of Super Mario light in a lot of ways. I think you had a good comparison. It's like Super Mario. I admit to specify Odyssey. It's like Super Mario Odyssey light, but it's also kind of like Super Mario Odyssey mixed with 3D World, which is what you said, and I definitely agree with that because the levels themselves feel like there's levels. Odyssey was way more open. This feels like, you're kind of going in this linear path, so it's kind of like that. It definitely feels by light. I mean, it does not feel as good as I would say 3D World or Super Mario Odyssey. It definitely, platforming wise and like combat wise and things like that, it definitely feels a step below that, but it still feels very good, very fun, very charming. And like I have high hopes, especially for that just being 1 level.
The first level, which obviously in these, no matter how good these platformers are, 3D or 2D otherwise, the first level is going to not be the most fantastical.
But they were showing a lot of things, especially I didn't get to play when I was doing the Bandit and Wildly, but like you got multiple different transformations that all did different things. I have full confidence it's going to be a very good game. When I compare it to Odyssey, that's kind of unfair, because I legit think that's one of the best games of all time. It's like, I don't think it's going to reach that levels, but I think it's going to be a very fun game.
Yeah, and a lot of this is still based off trailers we've seen, where it's like, there's still a whole lot of things. The more levels show up, like, there's so much like actual level variety as far as like kind of what we're doing and the actual locations of it all. And again, we'll get all these transformations, copy abilities that we normally get, and you can level them up, and that's going to do some crazy stuff. And then obviously mouthful mode. It seems like there'd be a lot of variety there. And so and then you got the whole added thing of the Waddle Dee town to kind of level up and fun. And something cute I saw from one of the preview footage someone had is in the town, you can emote with the D-pad. And like one of them, Kirby's like, "Hi." When you do that to a Waddle Dee, they'll all wave hi to you.
Very good.
So you just go around town and just wave hi.
Very strong. Very strong.
Yes, very strong. Very good.
And the co-op was fun. It was definitely little brother mode, but Bandit and Wildly can do more than I thought it was gonna be.
So when they showed the trailer, I was like, okay, the little brother mode ish thing, but Bandit and Wildly actually has a move set. Obviously, not gonna be able to do nearly as much as Kirby.
It's a lot more than I thought it would be. Yeah. A lot more than like Bowser Jr. and Bowser's Fury and stuff. It's like, very simplistic God. It was a lot more fun to play. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I think this is the whole Switch performance issues. I think is starting to bleed into Nintendo games as well, because the frame rate did dip multiple times, and I just can't help but look at these games and just think, like, what if they were on something else? Like, this just wouldn't happen. We just wouldn't have to deal with a lot of this shit if it just was on better hardware.
Or at the very least, if it was going to happen, it would be double the frame rate, because Kirby, it runs at 30.
Yeah, I mean, and it was dropping multiple times from that.
Especially in the background, where you see enemies like farther in the level, just kind of like the slideshow-ish thing.
Yeah,
like Arceus had.
Yes, like a lot of these. I mean, it wasn't like it's not like you shouldn't get this game because of it. I mean, it dipped more than I would like for it to. It's just that I just can't help but think this is a problem that's just getting worse. I'm just starting to see this more and more and more with the Switch, and it's just like it almost gives me motion sickness at times when I play the Switch. Like I've been playing some more of Ruin King, and there's just several times it's just like I'm like like I just wish this hardware was stronger. Yeah. But I think the game's gonna be good.
Happy 5th birthday, Switch.
Yeah.
Also, happy 5th birthday, us. We always forget.
Oh yeah, that is like now, isn't it? Yeah. Well, there's the Lord. We old as hell.
Always forget.
We so old.
We need to play like a stream day where we just kind of do a 12-hour stream again.
We should. Elden Ring.
Yep, that's what's out for now. We'll have to go a lot more into it later this month.
But we are going to talk about something very near and dear to Jeff's house. Jeff's house? Your house. This is your house, Jeff. You live in the news house. News jingle.
Jingle. Get started.
Welcome to the news house.
This past Sunday, we had a Pokemon Presents where they went over a whole bunch of shit. I kind of just put all of it together. We'll just, there's obviously the main thing here, but just so we don't forget, we'll go over the couple smaller things just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything, just the stuff that I actually have any interest in. Pokemon Legends Arceus DLC was announced. There's just more, I forget what they're called. Mobs or whatever. There's just a bunch of one Pokemon just out in the world. I think the more of them big. It's just more battles, trainer battles to do. You can, all that kind of stuff. Nothing too crazy. Just like, it was announced in Shadow Drop. Not expecting more for DLC for Arceus at this point. Shaman is coming to Gen 4 remakes. They seem to be doing what they... Back in the old days, they had little events to where you have to go to like GameStop or some shit to download something to get some of these legendary Pokemon, and there's a little event.
You have to go to KFC.
This time, luckily now, you can just download it, but it's for unlimited time, which I think is fucking stupid, but that's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
You can go catch Shaman, a cute little Pokemon. I already got an Arceus, who gives a fuck. And also for Pokemon Unite, we had 2 new Pokemon announced.
Woo-wee.
We got Hoopa, who is a support character and can do crazy shit with portals.
Yeah, you did tell me about that. I haven't seen it, but yes.
Yeah, very crazy. And also we got Duraludon announced, who I assume is going to be a tank.
Which one is that? I feel like I know that name.
Let me just show you. So these are cool, like out there characters for Unite.
Duraludon. Oh, okay, yeah, Skyscraper boy.
Yeah, Skyscraper. He is in. We can see his waddle in all its glory. He's going to waddle.
Waddle.
So, again, before going into the main thing, I do want to say about the Pokemon Week thing. The way they decided to do it, trash overall.
Get him, Tiff!
No,
get him!
Well, here's the thing. That they ended up doing a Pokemon Presents, announcing it like halfway through the week. But they announced it beforehand that, like, Monday through Friday or whatever shit, they're going to have one announcement for each of the kind of the pillars of Pokemon at the moment. Like, the mobile games, like Unite and Pokemon Masters and Pokemon Cafe. And they had the Sword and Shield thing, which was nothing. It was just the max raid battles with the Gen 1 starters. Cool. Yeah, whatever. But it's like, okay, they did this stuff, so when the Pokemon Presents, I'm like, oh, it's going to be 14 minutes? They're probably not going to talk about those games at all.
Yeah.
They fucking reiterated all of it and maybe announced something new for it. For some of them, it's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
Why do all this? Okay.
The surprise really made you think that nothing big was going to happen.
The surprise to me, and in hindsight, maybe not the biggest surprise, but we'll get into that. They announced Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Gen 9 games, coming this year, Darby. Late this year. In the year of our Lord 2022. The same year as Pokemon Legends Arceus. Yep.
Only one full year after Brilliant Diamond and Pearl, whatever. It was a
so thinking about that makes it
remaster thing, but
how this happened, because I was thinking, okay, Arceus was this year, and especially how big of an undertaking that was compared to other Pokemon games. Like, okay, we're probably not going to get Gen 9 this year. But some people were arguing that, but Arceus is the beginning of the year, so they can still do it. I was kind of like, Arceus was definitely pushed from last year. Brilliant Diamond Shine Pearl was to come out earlier. There's just enough. I'm not going to go into it. There was reasons to believe that was the case. But they were still planning on releasing the Gen 9 a year after Arceus, apparently.
Yeah.
It's now out on the same calendar this year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And the reason it is partly surprising is this is a fully open world game, according to Game Freak. They actually used the word open world, but they never did with Arceus. They never used that word. So everyone assumed it was open world until it was announced where it's like more of a Monster Hunter thing with the giant open areas, which was good, really good for that game.
Still pretty open world. Yeah. It was like lots of...
Very open and everything, but not an open world like this where everything seems to be connected. And
right.
It sounds like you'll be able to go maybe mostly anywhere, which will be interesting to see how exactly it is done.
You can go fight Ganon immediately.
Yeah. It's like, I'm very curious how open, if there are... I expect to be some things that are kind of blocked off from some progression thing, which I think would be fine. I don't know. I don't know what exactly I want.
It's uncharted territory in a lot of ways.
But it's also very exciting, especially since I'm assuming you watched the trailer.
Yeah, I done.
It's Pokemon, so it's not the big technical showpiece, obviously, but it is a step up from Arceus look-wise to me.
In a lot of shots, it looked better, and in some shots, it looked still grainy and rough. It was like...
It's a mix of things to why I say it looks better. There's some shots that just look better for a bunch of reasons, like just from a graphical standpoint, and I do reviews it be here to miss. But the good news is, even if the end product is not the best looking, and this happens every single Pokemon game, Pokemon games do look / run better from the starting trailer to the end product, even if the end product isn't the best.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the way game development works.
Right, and if anything, I mean, even if it looks about the same as Arceus, there's just a lot more going on in the world. It looks prettier. There's a lot of the towns and there's everything else. It's like
there seems to be more like trees and like mountains and just more stuff going on in the world, which does add to it. And again, the fact that it looks better, it looks like more going on in the world, just gets me
it's
excited.
A step up regardless, even if it's not technically a huge step up.
Technical standpoint. But it also makes me have a little more respect for Game Freak, because like I feel like Game Freak are actually talented developers, but
I mean,
whether it's self-enforced, there's some arguments whether it's Game Freak deciding this or the Pokemon Company giving them these short windows. It's like this was a huge step up between the little time between Sword and Shield to this. Like there are going to be comparisons between these two things, and if it's like Scarlet and Violet good, looks like this is going to be a giant step up just between those two. Obviously, Arceus was in between. It was a big step up.
And just as we would say over and over again, it's not even something. Even this is not something they had to do. I mean, I bet you a lot of people at Game Freak have been wanting to make a game like this for a long time, but like probably the people deciding their budget are like, no, because we can make a game with pennies and make gold. It's just like it's just there's no reason to or whatever. But maybe this, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like they finally got to it. It was like, just let us do this, and you'll see.
Yeah, another one of those things that gives me more hope as far as the future of Pokemon these games is it's sounding like, because Pokemon's been a thing for 25 fucking years, it sounds like the old guard is kind of more and more stepping down, and a new guard's kind of coming in, and it's and it seems like their voice is kind of coming out more, and their direction for this stuff is coming out more. In a variety of ways within the company.
That's cool. It's very good.
Yeah. So,
I mean, you saw that some with even Breath of the Wild, I think, was a big product of. There was a lot of very younger developers who grew up playing other open world games like Elder Scrolls and Red Dead Redemption. They even cited as inspiration for it or whatever. And I think you see that in the blend of old and new in Breath of the Wild. And Pokemon could definitely use something like that.
Yeah. So this is all very exciting. Like, man, I'm gonna have to rank Pokemon games like potentially my two favorite Pokemon
but that's two of the biggest ones
in a long time, if not just ever at the end of the year. Cool. Along with everything.
With everything else. Yeah.
Even if it's
I'm just so happy that even I saw that it's like, oh, they announced Gen 9. Damn, okay, I just saw obviously the 3 starters or whatever. But I still fully, if you had stopped me right there, I'd be like, all right, Darby, what is this game going to be like? I would have leaned way more towards Sword and Shield, just because, if they're already announcing this thing, it was obviously being made at the same time as Arceus, and I was just worried. But it seems like it's exactly what we said the best case scenario was, that it's taking the Arceus mold, but doing that on a normal Pokemon game that has just as lively and civilized and everything of a world that you would expect and everything.
Yeah, and
but with the
because one thing they did confirm, they haven't confirmed a lot, but they have shown screenshots of battling in the open area, so it's not like Sword and Shield or Brilliant Diamond where you're going into some kind of zone thing. It is like Arceus where it looks like you start the battle and the battle is just where you are in the open world.
Yeah.
So we'll get to what I'm wanting and hoping for, Darby. I teased this here a little bit. But before we get into that, it's coming out in 2022. How do you feel about that release date? I mean, it seems like we're both you have no particular stake in Pokemon, but as far as it coming out the same year as Arceus and them keeping to their 3-year thing.
I mean, I think it shows how much I think that they value and prefer for these games to come out in the holiday.
Yeah.
I think Arceus, they obviously wanted. I think they would have preferred that to have come out the holiday of last year. And I think if they're if this game can make holiday, we're not going to push it back. We're going to get those holiday sales. I'm sure that
which they did with Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl.
Exactly.
But it also Gen 9 being announced also makes the Gen 4 remakes make more sense to me. But
and it's not even Game Freak making that. We really should take that out of the equation when we think about how did Game Freak do this. It's these 2 games. It's Arceus.
Oh no, that's what I mainly meant to. But as far as the overall Pokemon company, and Game Freak probably had a little hand into it as far as the timing of it. The games coming out and being as straight up remakes as they are compared to the other gen remakes.
Right.
It's because they wanted those out before Arceus and Gen 9 comes out, because especially after the games are out, no one's going to give a shit about those, even less than they already did.
Yeah. They knew they had 2 of their probably highest budget Pokemon games ever.
Yeah,
by a considerable margin.
You're cutting its legs, but you somewhat cut it at the head if you release them after Arceus, and especially when Gen 9's coming out or out.
Yeah. Brilliant Diamond probably sells half the amount.
Yeah, they probably expected those games to not have as much legs because of these games, but they knew it was going to sell a buttload when it came out.
Yeah, I think it's still obviously going to sell a ton, but I'm sure you agree. I think Arceus is going to sell less than it would have because of this.
Oh, yeah, because of Gen 9, yes, 100%.
I've already seen full runway, like a normal game, then they would have sold more than it's going to now. This is not the ideal situation.
I've already seen some people be like, "Oh, it's gonna play Arceus, but Gen 9's coming out," which I get.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
it's a big game. There's only so many games you can play.
It's probably gonna be the better one, just the more feature complete, more new ideas one. Of the 2, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I am very curious, how all the mechanics of these takes words, or any new things, how this stuff's going to compare. That's going to be a fascinating conversation at the end of the year.
It's a weird thing, because it's not really like they could have learned from Arceus, because obviously these games were being made at the same time. And Violet and Scarlet I'm not saying that they're almost done. But as far as like adding things to the game, it's too late for that. I mean, it's coming out.
Yeah, they can't take
it
reception from Arceus and put into this game.
Yeah, they can't make major changes to the game.
Which might be my only concern, but I'm generally okay with most like the things in Arceus anyway. To the point where it's like, yeah, just take what makes sense from Arceus and put it into a regular generation, new generation Pokemon game. And as long as you do that with the Arceus mechanics in mind, I would generally be fine.
They basically had to predict in advance what was going to be the things.
Which is concerning, but if they nail it, then it's whatever to me.
I mean, I'm sure even if it's just the Arceus mechanics exactly, but with towns and gyms and all that stuff, that's going to be enough.
In normal battle.
That's going to be enough to be really excited.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make you pick a starter. Should we do that before or after you do your demands?
Yeah, we'll talk about the starters and then go into my demands. Once demands. Yeah, starters. We got Sprigatito, the grass cat. We got Fuecoco, the fire croc, and we got Quaxley. Maybe the best name Pokemon.
The best name. Yeah,
the little duck.
There's Donald Duck. Let's be real.
Yeah. I don't know what
you gotta. I'm not gonna let you.
Okay.
I noticed the other night. I was like, Jeff didn't say anything, and that's very much like Jeff. But I'm gonna force him to.
First instinct, Fuecoco.
I agree.
Yeah,
that's it's just,
I could end on any. I could end on any of these in the end because I feel like the last couple gens. What did it happen? Yeah. Well. Gen 8 was weird because I ended up getting 2 starters, but that's besides the point. My last couple ones were Gen 6 and Gen 7. I ended up not going with my first pick because my first pick for Gen 6 was Fennekin. I went with Roki. And for Alola, I chose Litten, but I ended up going with Rowlet. Partly because I knew what Litten turned into. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted you right now. Yeah, you're not tied to anything or whatever. Just like when you look at these 3, I think they're all great.
Yes.
They're all adorable and wonderful. But I like Fire Croc. And if he is a pepper, and a ghost fire pepper, pepper.
We'll get into evolutions there. I feel like we can wait. Because, yes, teased it. I decided to come up with this for fun. My 5 wants and demands for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So I have 5 each. We're going to go 1 want, 1 demand, and just go through that list.
Give it to us.
No in particular order. My first want. Let's reach that 1,000 Pokemon mark. We are at like 908, I think. Let's get there. Let's get to 1,000. Let's do it partly because that means a lot of... Because... They haven't added like a crazy new amount of Pokemon. Obviously, it started with 150, and then since then they've added like, for the most part, Gen 5 was an exception when they added 150 new Pokemon because they decided to do that for that gen. It's all new. Cap out typically about a 100. Though it's weird the last couple gens because of regional variants, which I'd even put as a want here. Or in demand because those are coming back. Those are too like profitable for them, I think, to not continue doing. But let's reach that 100 mark. It'd be a very good like marketing thing from that side, and I just want a bunch of new Pokemon. Let's reach that point. My first demand. This is related to starter evolutions. I have a demand for each. And just kind of piling into one. Okay, just a general demand. I don't want no monotype final evolutions. I don't want Sprigatito to evolve to just grass, Fuecoco to just fire. Quaxley I'm not worried about because it's probably going to be water flying at the very least. It's not something different.
Do they still do that a lot?
Gen 8, they were all monotype. They were only just their regular whatever, which is boring from a typing thing standpoint. Sprigatito, that motherfucker better stay on all 4s. You burn me with Litten. You burn me with Tempig. You better fucking stay on all 4s, you stupid grass cat. Also, because people are already really horny for Sprigatito for some reason, and that concerns me. And they can see it. They put it on 2 legs. That just confirms that people are going to be very horny for this cat.
The Pokemon designers, they know what they're
doing. They know. They pick a couple on each gen for the horny people.
This is the horny crowd.
Yeah. Fuecoco, mainly no firefighting. is my main thing. Like, because that's just a very overdone thing. Even like in Cineroar, wasn't like it was firefighting in spirit, even though it was dark.
Fucking super
but as you were saying, Darby, is point out, people were like, okay, this is obviously a pepper. Just looking at it, just like the little like people pointed to Apple originally, and I get that. That was my thought too. Then people pointed to the way his body shapes like a pepper. It's like, oh, Spain, yeah. But the people also pointed out its face is kind of white and it kind of looks like a skull, like a ghost. But it evolves into a ghost pepper and becomes fire ghost.
That'd be so good.
The only downside to that to me would be Tysplosion in Arceus evolves the Hisuian Tysplosion as Fire Ghost. So it'd be kind of quote unquote lame to have Fire Ghost back to back for the starters in the same year. But besides that, I'm all for it. If they do it, I'll be fine with it. But yeah,
ghosts are cool though.
Yeah. Before Coco is adorable, and I want him to stay
He's so good.
Goofy and a
big old mouth.
For Quaxley, I had trouble coming up with something, so I have kind of two things. Just keep that general vibe going on for him. You know, he's got the vibe.
Keep doing what you're doing, sweet.
Yeah, or evolve into Donald Duck.
Or
if it becomes like a Donald-looking mage thing, then fine.
Straight up Donald Duck.
Second want. I want a new evolution.
We
haven't before last gen. They had him added a new one or at least one every even generation. So Gen 2, Gen 4, Gen 6 all added a new one at least. Gen 8 didn't. I think it's time. We know because of in the town, the circle has like all the symbols for the type. People counted them, and unless they could have potentially kept it hidden and going to add it later. No new type for this generation, which is fine. But I think it's time for a new evolution because those are just always fun. Eevee's going to be in the game anyway, so just make one of the new Pokemon.
Of course.
Demand number 2. You better keep Legends capturing mechanic, or at least something very similar, to where you just throw Pokeballs out to Pokemon on the field. Like, it doesn't have to be as easy to catch them. I'm fine with that because this isn't going to be a purely catching game like that. Have them bust out of the balls more than in Arceus. That's fine.
Bust their balls.
But I don't want to have to go into a fight and go through menus to catch a Pokemon at this point. Because after you introduce that, I don't think you can go back. And that is a demand.
Demand. He demands.
Number 3, flexibility and progression, especially in gyms, because this is purely open world. What I would love, and in some of the animes, the ones that were kind of based off the game, they kind of had this where each gym, they have a whole variety of Pokemon, but the Pokemon they send out and how strong they are based on how many gym badges you, the trainer, have. I would love if you can go to any gym in any order and the Pokemon they have and their levels were dependent on how many gym badges you had. Maybe within reason to maybe it's like a set of like 3 different sets to where you can go into any order. I'd be fine with that. But I would love if they do gyms. The only reason I say it because Gen 7 didn't really have gyms. But if they had, you can kind of choose the order some and kind of do crazy shit with that. Since it's open world, I would love that.
Those sound cool.
Yeah, just some flexibility and just in progression in general. Like do crazy shit like in Arceus where you find like a level 40 Pokemon in the first area. Do crazy shit like that. I want that.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild, you can just go do whatever order you want.
Yep. Next demand. And it's partly have this under demand because I'm just fully expect it. I want crazy customization for the trainer. Dari, I don't know if you've seen those trainer models. They're pretty boring. And the fact that they're boring and their clothes are the exact same, like they're obviously like their school uniforms, just implies to me that customization might be a bigger thing in this game.
Probably, yeah.
Because at least even if the outfits, are not the craziest thing in the world, the guy and girl at least had distinguishing outfits from each other.
Yeah.
These are just literally gender swapped of the same character.
So you think they're purposely trying to make them super blank slate, so it's like you're gonna go crazy.
I think so. That's kind of how. That's why I'm demanding it here.
Blow up.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Sword and Shield had a lot, like more than I thought it would.
Oh yeah. I think I did correct. I'm just kind of with this. I'm expecting to maybe go a step farther with it. Just kind of more go crazy with
room
it.
To go.
Yeah.
And whenever we try to do a Nuzlocke, I'm gonna. Whatever our version of a Nuzlocke is, I'm gonna need to be able to dress up.
God, we're gonna have to figure that out. Damn.
Yeah.
But that's also the thing when I was missing my start. It's like, well, I know you're on for Coco, so that'll be our Nuzlocke Pokemon. Which is kind of fun. We need to get back to our Gen 4 remake Nuzlocke. But it'd be fun because our 3 main Nuzlocke would have a starter a different type. Which,
that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I look back and I very rarely pick fire, but it's like I can't deny Fleet.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's see. Okay, want number 4. Focus on Pokemon not in Arceus, as in the Pokemon you find in the wild. Because that's a little concerning to me right now is I looked at the Pokemon in the trailer. I went to Cerebi. It looked like it in the trailer, but I went into Cerebi.net where Joe Merrick, shout out to him as always, just has the list of Pokemon and their evolutions, whatever lines shown in the trailer. And it's like, okay, there are like 10 Pokemon lines in this trailer that are from Arceus, which I can see why, because the work on those are done. Because if they go all from Arceus, the Pokemon are gonna have more behavior and gonna have more animation and stuff, which is kind of why they cut Pokemon. That would be so cool. I can kind of see that. I'm hoping there is a lot of Pokemon here that are not from Arceus,
especially since you kind of had 2 back-to-back games with a lot of those Pokemon.
Yes, and with the way Legend is, you spend a lot of time with those Pokemon.
Yeah,
so. There's a lot of different ones in there, but
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
you're right. They might put more than you would think just because it's easy to paste them.
They brought a couple older ones that got me excited already, and especially since when they just showed their little evolutions, so I'm like, oh, you could evolve into a regional variant of your evolution, or just a brand new Pokemon, because they've done in the past, where the little one was the same but the big one was different. So.
Cool.
Fingers crossed. Let's see. Number 4, demand. Atypical Pokemon story structure. Just kind of like do something different with it. Whether it be kind of going off what I said about the flexibility and progression, just do something different with the story. That'd be interesting.
I want there to be like an Alex Jones InfoWars type person who's like in the Pokemon world.
Yeah.
Spewing off some crazy bullshit or something. Just like, I don't know.
Yeah, let's get crazy. Get political. Let's see. Last want. Crazy things to discover in the open world. Because Arceus didn't have much to the open world besides finding Pokemon.
Yeah.
And this is obviously going to have that, if not maybe improve on that, but just because the actual like environments look like more better and more varied, like as far as like what's in them and just landscapes and all that kind of stuff. I just want something that, like, maybe it'd be harder to find some Pokemon. Like some Pokemon are more rare or items or something.
Yeah, some more even puzzle type thing or something, because like that would be one of my only criticisms just watching Arceus. It does seem like you have a big open area to explore, and obviously the Pokemon do moves on the map and all that's cool, but it seems like the only verb you're doing is catching and fighting. It's like the only thing you're doing is catching Pokemon. It doesn't really seem that there was like things in the open world outside of that. So like like you find some ancient shrine or something, something that people haven't touched in the archaeological. It is some, just some sort of puzzle things to break it up to make it like a lot of other open worlds do. You just need other things.
I have it as a want here because for me to love this game, like I don't think it's as much of a need per se, but it's obviously something I want to just make it a better game.
Yeah,
more interesting game overall. My final demand, and I feel like this is necessary, and I may feel decent about it. You need to keep the mobility options from Arceus, like being able to get on something to like where you run around, or at some point get like a flying Pokemon to just fly over it, the areas and stuff. Yeah, you have to climb and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's why I have it as a demand, because like you need this, and I feel like that's one of the things like you need to keep.
That's probably a staple at this point, as long as you have open worlds like this.
Yep.
All right, last thing. What are the chances that your Arceus character comes through a portal into this game, like it falls to the sky, and it's like an NPC, or you just walk by and there's an NPC in the world, and you're like, wait,
there's a chance. There might be something that references Arceus in some way, but
this old ancient tribe.
The thing is, the art style, like, I need to see more character models. Like, just based off the trainer, the art style and stuff is different, which is interesting. Like they always change somewhat from at least a little bit from gen to gen, but this feels like the biggest departure, at least in a long while.
Really? I thought it looked very. I mean, I didn't look
It
very
felt like
close.
Pokemon. It felt like
I was just saying it looks a good bit like Arceus. I would think this looks closer.
it looks different. Like you can tell like it's kind of Pokemon, but it kind of looks more like new Pokemon Snap, which kind of had its own art style, at least compared to Pokemon games, or maybe even like Detective Pikachu games, compared to other generations of Pokemon. At least to me, from what we've seen, and it's just off the trainers. So I'm interested to see more NPCs and stuff. But yeah, obviously I'm excited, and one of my most anticipated games now for the rest of the year.
Hell yeah!
Give me more. All right, Darby, let's get into the rest of the news.
Rest of the news.
This comes from Adam Banker from IGN. Nintendo has made a decision to not have any Super Smash Bros. Games be part of EVO 2022, the world's largest fighting game tournament that is now owned by Sony for the first time since 2007. EVO shared a letter announcing the news on Twitter ahead of the EVO 2022 announcement show March 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Quote, please join us March 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/EVO for the EVO 2022 announcement show. EVO, while we're thankful for all the amazing games joining us later this year in Las Vegas, we want to let you know in advance that Super Smash Bros. Will not be making a return appearance. Since 2007, we've seen historic Super Smash Bros. Moments create at EVO events. We are sad that Nintendo has chosen not to continue the legacy with us this year. In the future, we hope to once again celebrate the Super Smash Bros. Community alongside them, end quote. What you doing, Nintendo?
I mean, it's not surprising. It should be surprising, but it's not. I mean, you can't sugarcoat it. I mean, this company is terrible when it comes to. I mean, to esports and competition and stuff like this, and even just supporting a very eager player base who just wants to play your damn game.
Well, it's so weird because they announced that Panda Circuit thing like not too long ago. So it's like. Is there some weird conflict with that? Probably not. I don't know why it would be, but it's... there are multiple reasons that you can look at, analyze Nintendo to why they didn't do this. They're all stupid, but there are multiple reasons for it. For one thing being...
Sony?
Well, Sony, and because of the scandal for EVO where they kicked out the organizer, which he's gone, so it again, and Sony... I mean, someone else owned it regardless of being Sony now. Right. So it'd still be stupid, but it could be any one of these reasons.
Right. I mean, but this is the biggest thing. This is the fighting game tournament that everyone knows. And this is... Smash
is usually the biggest one.
Yeah, it's been the biggest thing here or whatever. And it's not like this is the first time. This is not even remotely the first time that Nintendo has just kind of showed its complete disdain for anyone playing Smash in a competitive focus at all. Like they just are wholly against the damn thing, which makes no sense. I mean, these are people who are trying to support your game, and it's not even people playing Melee where it's like, oh, we don't want to show the old game, we want to show the new game. This is your new game, and your game's done. There's not even new content coming out for it. So it's like, this is a good thing. This is a good thing for you that people want to play your game on a big stage like this. I can't even begin to understand how you could view this as like it's a bad thing that people are playing Smash at a high level. No. And it's like they're not even like the ship has sailed in like Nintendo making the game and trying to like specifically help these type of things. Like, cause they're like, it's a party game, it's a party game, it's a party game, or whatever. It can be both, but Nintendo's like, no, it's a party game. It's like, okay, whatever. All they're asking is just the ability to play it. That's literally it. So you don't even have to change the game at all. It can, whatever's wrong with it from a competitive standpoint can just be wrong with it. Everyone will deal with it. But they can't even just play the game. And like there are so many other games and companies that would kill to have the level of engagement, the level of enthusiasm that Smash has. And Nintendo just outright like puts a middle finger up to it. And it's ridiculous.
But again, it's so weird because they announced that Panda Circuit. They are actually for like really the first time showing interest in competitive Smash and putting like their name forward in it, but for some reason not EVO. So like that makes me think they might be petty or whatever, and because Sony does own it, and that might be the reason now.
Whatever the reason is, if you're a professional Smash player, go look for another game. This company is just not,
Yeah, but
this company does not support its scene whatsoever. Nintendo has not earned how big Smash is from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah.
They don't deserve it when it comes, like, sales wise, they deserve it because they made an amazing game and everything. The game itself is phenomenal, but as far as it being like the top game at Evo, they don't deserve that. And I hope it changes. I hope it starts collapsing because, like, they don't support it. They don't deserve this shit, you know? Like, this should go to games that actually try, you know?
Mm-hmm. Fortunate thing is, I mean, you know, both, you know, make some of these other games bigger. Hopefully some platform fighter rise up. But unfortunately, platform fighter skills don't always transfer to the other fighting games, which is kind of a thing. Because Smash has kind of been dominant in that scene.
And this is another reason why I'm like, why are we so against having other games in this genre? Because like Smash is just not a viable one, not because of the game, but because of the damn company. So I would love if like Multiversus got to the point where it's like it started getting to Evo and gets a lot of views and everything, or just or other, you know, like Multiverse doesn't need to be the only one either, you know, more in the future or whatever. That's why like this should be a good thing, you know. It's because this company has the game making ability, but they just are just
someone there is just very against it. And at this point, I don't think it's really Sakurai, at least completely Sakurai at this point, because he's made some concessions for like the competitive community. Like he balances for that now. He's, you know, he's shown like, okay, you know, I wasn't always for it, but at this point, like I'm going to do stuff to make it easier, better, whatever for you guys, even if it's not the most he could do.
Yeah, I mean, this game was designed a lot more what seeming like with that scene in mind, just the way the game feels, and it's a very feature complete game as far as you know, 1v1s and like all the different things you can do to set off the hazards on the stage and the formats and everything. It's like there's a lot of shit in there. There's a lot. I mean, again, nothing is wrong with the game. The game is fantastic, and it does that hybrid thing perfectly, where it's like anyone can jump in there and play it, but you can also play it as a crazy high level. Everything's perfect. The company is wrong.
Yeah,
the company. It's with the wrong damn company. Like I wish that like now that it's done, I wish they would just like sell the game to Bandai Namco or something, or sell it to Capcom or something. Just like sell this finished product to someone else that will actually do something with it. Which it sucks because the game is so good.
Yeah. Again, obviously it's something to know. Like they hold some Splatoon tournaments, but not really much. And then I see like stuff on Twitter about Pokemon, like competitive shit, and Pokemon goes crazy.
Yeah, because Nintendo's not really doesn't have their fingers all over that.
Yep, they have it a little in there. Obviously, they own some of the rights, but yeah, the Pokemon Company is the one who makes most of the decisions, like the big Unite tournaments and shit.
Right. I mean, but it's like Nintendo has no rhyme or reason and no consistency, because whenever the Switch was coming out, I remember one of the things on there was a bunch of esports people in esports jerseys playing Splatoon.
Oh yeah,
it's like that's such a fucking joke. That is an absolute joke, and it's not even because like you tried and failed to do it. It's like no, you were just actively against this whole scene, and it's like I don't know. Nintendo is just forever one of those companies that you just love, hate, love, hate, love, hate. Like they're simultaneously one of the best companies and one of the worst, and they alternate back and forth between those two at like blistering pace.
Speaking of companies that alternate between the highs and lows, let's talk about Square Enix.
That's for sure.
And specifically, let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. This comes from Ryan Disdale from IGN. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy had a slow start for Square Enix as the publisher admitted the game initially underperformed when it launched in October last year. During its latest financial briefing, Square Enix commented that despite receiving positive reviews, Guardians of the Galaxy's sales on launch undershot our initial expectations. The game made up ground late, however, through different sales initiatives such as store discounts that began in November, and Square Enix said it intends to work to continue to expand sales to make up for the title's slow start. I also added in here, you know, kind of maybe add to the conversation. It was just announced it's coming to Game Pass like this month.
Yeah.
So yeah,
which I'm sure it was always going to, but maybe this is a little faster. I don't know.
I think definitely. Yeah, this isn't surprising to see. You know, it obviously underperformed because it was on sale, not just for Black Friday, just in general, consistently at $20, which is how I got it. Like after a month. Which is crazy. And I can definitely see how it picked up after the fact because, yeah, word of mouth was crazy for this game. Like, a lot of people were talking about, oh, it's one of the best stories of the year. Oh, it's my goatee. Like, a lot of people were saying that.
Did it win Best Narrative?
At some places. Yeah, I might have won for, I can't remember at Game Awards.
Game Awards, but
yeah. I think I won it at DICE, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even, like, there's sometimes Square does, like, very puzzling things and everything, but, like, I don't exactly know what went wrong here. I mean,
so it's so the problem with Guardian, like as far as why Guardians didn't start well, started with honestly a decent part of the reason. It's something that had nothing to do with Guardians, and that is Avengers. Yeah. Avengers shouldn't have existed. Like Square needs to stop really with all these games of a service because like Babylon's Fall just came out and it peaked at 600.
Was it supposed to be a games of service?
It is a games of service. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I'm realizing more and more how little I know about Babylon's Fall.
And it peaked at 650 players on its launch day. 650.
That's like, yeah, that's real bad.
Yes, and the reviews of it are just, people who played are just absolutely just terrible. Like, it's just not a good game. I hate to always like to say that, but it's just not. And they keep on trying these with the game, the service, and it failing. And unfortunately, it then reaches, because of the Marvel connection, to Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And, you know, it goes a little more than that. Like, the initial revealing of Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of people don't really hate it. I was more positive than most people, but it goes to show that I was like the only one who was somewhat positive on that initial showing.
The fact is, you didn't reach people with whatever. And I definitely didn't think it didn't grab me or anything.
But even with me, it was like I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. I wasn't like, oh, this looks great. Right. I wasn't on the like, oh, this looks terrible like everyone else thought.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a weird combo. I think it's a combo breaker of like Avengers. Already Guardians of the Galaxy is popular, but not like the most popular thing. It's not like Spider-Man and Miles Morales, where it's just like there are so many people that like may have not even seen any of the other MCU movies, but they see Spider-Man movies and they're gonna play the Spider-Man game. Spider-Man is way more popular than all the other superheroes combined outside of like Batman or something. You know, it's like,
no, you're right.
Like it just is what it is. So like Guardians
it's not more popular than Batman.
Guardians of the Galaxy is popular, but it's nowhere near that. So I think it was a combination of like you already have to sell it a little bit more, and then it had the Avengers double whammy. So I think it's a combination of both of those. Like a Spider-Man game of this quality coming and going would just be like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, it's not as surprising. It's a little surprising because like Guardians is kind of big, but it's like you could see it getting drowned out if you don't hit things, if it doesn't hit the right way completely.
Yeah.
And it just sucks because it seems like the actual game they made,
I love it,
is what people would want. You know, it's like you could see a different world where this was the first one of these to come out, and it is like, holy shit, you know, it's like we got the superheroes and video games, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this does well enough to, you know, the follow-up sales after that first month were good enough to where, well, if a sequel is on the table, they go for it. It's like, okay, like Square Enix has enough. Could look at themselves enough, like, okay, we kind of failed you a little here, one way or another. I'm blanking on the studio's name.
Montreal.
Yeah, Eidos Montreal. So we're gonna give you another chance here because you know, obviously reviews positive. The actual sales numbers afterwards were really good. Fan reception, yada yada yada. So we'll give you another, you know, shot with this. And either whether if they want to do another Guardians, but at the very least, maybe if they want to work on another Marvel property, they kind of get to do what they want and not be headstrong into a gains of a service, which Square should stop.
Yeah,
14's all you need.
This is two underperforming games back to back with the Eidos Montreal, because they also did Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
I think it was underperforming. It feels like it was.
Tomb Raider is hard to tell if it underperformed because they said the first one of the reboot underperformed.
Really?
Yes,
Square is ridiculous.
That's why people were no. Square is infamous for, especially the Western studios, doing that because of that. Because Tomb Raider sold ended up selling like 10+ million copies, and Square was like
million.
Yeah, was like, oh, Tomb Raider performed on an expectation, and was like, what were you expecting?
There was back then, I do remember it was like big marketing campaigns for it or whatever, and it was like on like big time commercials like on football games and all this other stuff where it was like, yeah, Tomb Raider's big or whatever. And like I would say like, yeah, you did it. Good job, 13 million.
Yeah.
And the series never got back to that again. You know, I think that was the peak by considerable margin.
Well, they also failed Tomb Raider by making the sequel Xbox exclusive.
Yes.
They made bad decisions.
They do.
Especially Square's Western front. I mean, the Japanese side is not perfect, but they seem to hit at least more in comparison.
Which is funny, 'cause I think like, 10 years ago, it was kind of the other way around. The Japanese side was an all-time low, but now the Japanese side with Nier and Final Fantasy and everything else is kicking.
I mean, just look at 14 in particular.
14. Yes.
Like, that was an utter failure at the beginning, and now it's like considered the best MMO and the best selling. Makes most money.
Yeah, I mean, even you go back to like 13 times.
Like, you can maybe argue that 14 saved Square. It's
good.
It just does that well.
But it sucks because like by and large they still do make good games. Like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I love. It doesn't sell that well, and then Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, it's just kind of getting going. If it's Square, it's just kind of like we were saying with Nintendo, it's just weird with some decision making because some of it. Well, some games like Babylon's Fall, Quiet Man, Left Alive, Balan Wonderworld should not have been made, or at least really rethought how they made it. And it sounded like from, I can't remember if it's like maybe Imran Khan or someone talking about Babylon's Fall. It's like people were, Platinum just has trouble making good games anymore. Someone, a note I saw say, a lot of stuff happened with Babylon's Fall. Don't put it all on Platinum here. Like, it's apparently it was originally not a games as a service, and now it is.
I didn't even how is the game as a service? Because it's just like a platinum action game where you're going through.
Yeah,
is it just like
to be honest, I do not know because I did not look too much in the game. I just know it's a games as a service.
Okay,
so yeah, Square's weird. Speaking of weird things, we got some countdowns last week, Darby. From two big companies, Capcom and Atlus.
You know how we love counting.
Yeah, we love counting down. We'll start there, Capcom.
We should have the count do like a video game countdown timer thing.
1 minute left.
One gamer tier.
But yeah, Capcom was what we all expected it to be. I think we talked about it on the last podcast, predicting it was Street Fighter 6.
It was, and what we learned from it is that Street Fighter 6 is being made.
Yes, more information this summer. And it was shown with Ryu and Luke there, very realistic looking, very sweaty. And a logo everyone hates, and they found on what was it? They found it like on some
it's like
stock logo thing,
which it does look very stock logo thing, but apparently it's like looks like a direct rip from
it is. I think Capcom kind of
they're real bad about this, aren't they? Because Resident Evil had two different copying other people's shit controversies at once.
Well, so it goes into the whole this Capcom's Street Fighter team understand its fans really like who are they going for. That's a whole nother discussion. We're not Street Fighter fans, so we don't need to go into the nitty gritty of that necessarily.
This is the wrong way to do this though, just because everyone who knows anything about Street Fighter, we all knew that Street Fighter 6 was being developed.
Yeah.
So it's
we know it's coming relatively soon.
and like this teaser would have been fine if it was just Capcom Cup happening at the end. They're like, and we have something for you.
But the end of the countdown.
Yeah, and then a little teaser would be like, oh, okay, cool. Shit, that was a cool little thing. But to do a countdown for days in advance for a 30-second teaser that tells you nothing in a franchise that seems like it has a lot to prove. Like this feels like kind of make it or break it entry for them or whatever. It's like, come on, guys. Like the fact that you're making Street Fighter 6 is not a reveal. That's just it's just not. It's not one of those you can't do that for something that's just so obviously being made. So I'm like, if you don't have more to show, it's not time. You're not ready to do the countdown yet. You should have waited a few months.
No. But something cool they did announce alongside Street Fighter 6 or it was the opener to the Street Fighter 6 announcement was the Capcom Fighting Collection, a collection of 10 classic titles, including the full Darkstalker series. It's coming out June 24th, I believe, on everything. So this is crazy because this has a bunch of obviously, like I said, all the Darkstalker games, and then a bunch of lesser known games. Let me find the I don't have to link it there.
Pocket Fighters.
Yeah, Pocket Fighters. Some Beast game or something. Yeah,
there was a bunch of IP I do not recognize. But
I recognize characters, but I'm not as familiar with the actual franchise names.
Max seemed excited, so I was excited.
And there's all those games. They added actual training modes to them, which is something big, and online with rollback netcode to all of them.
Yep.
So this is
that was a hype announcement. Yeah, that was great. It was just, But and the fact that it just seems like I think we are getting very close to the rollback netcode is just going to be everyone's going to have it. So
I feel like at this point, if you're not planning for your upcoming fighting game rollback netcode at this point, you just need to reevaluate what you're doing and push the game back however long you need to put it in, because it's got to the point where that's just something you need. Like at this point, it's not even a hype announcement. It's turning into an expected announcement.
Like you don't have it?
At least for new fighting games. Obviously, these old games coming back with...
But there was a lot of the big dinosaur games or whatever were like, whatever, people buy it anyway. So it was like, it didn't seem like they were budging on it, but it seemed like enough... Every new smaller game is doing it now.
Mortal Kombat could maybe get away with it because it's kind of too big.
But I think at this point, even I think will do it.
Yeah, they talked about it.
That's the big thing. Yeah, because apparently Tekken's terrible.
Yeah,
online.
So yeah, but Atlus, at least for the fans of it, was more countdown ending thing was more exciting because we got Soul Hackers 2, which is a sequel to 1997 Soul Hackers, which is coming out August 28th.
That's the year Final Fantasy 7 came out.
Yes. So everyone knew, like, who played Soul Hackers knew there was a Soul Hacker related announcement, but they didn't know for what. Could have been a remake. Could have been just a port or something, because I think there's like a port on the 3DS or something like that, or the DS. But that's really it. So they could have just announced support for that, and people were like, neat. That's exciting, but a full-on sequel 25 years later. And, as far as these kind of things go, it looks like it's a decent amount of budget. Like, at least what you would expect for this kind of, like, JRPG kind of game.
It looked like a modern Persona or SMT game.
Yeah. Like there are a lot of these SMT spin-offs, but...
Sure are a lot of them.
Here's the thing. The problem is there are a lot of them, so it's like you get lost in the shuffle with all of them. It's like, but, it's probably going to be good.
Oh, yeah, sure. I think I'm a Persona only of these unless they're like really, I just hear crazy things.
Well, I feel like it. I need to get around. I got it. I got SMT5 physical copies. You want to try it at some point? Bash your head against the wall.
Yeah, it sounds a little much for me. I played Persona 5 on easy. So, it's like, I think SMT is gonna, I don't know if I'm, And just the vibe of SMT does not interest me, like, even a little bit, Persona, I like the modern school social aspect of it a lot, the lightheartedness.
You just like the high school girls, don't you?
I do like them high school girls.
Okay. Hear that, cops? We got them.
Yeah, clip that out. Just clip. Okay.
Yep. But that's exciting.
Are you gonna get Soul Hackers too?
I'm going to guess and say probably not. At least not for a long while, because there's no reason for me to get it when I have SMT5. And just all these problems. If we keep on mentioning throughout this whole thing, there are a lot of big games coming out this year, but not necessarily big as in like the size of the like popularity wise. At least compared to last year, there are gonna be a lot of games that are doubled the playtime probably of my longest game. Like I think Persona 5 Strikers was my longest game last year at 40 hours.
Wow, that's short.
Like that's why I was able to play so many games and that was twice as long as most of my other games. Like most of the games I played didn't break 20 hours besides a couple of them. And there's like Hitman 3, which you can play forever.
You're gonna play double that in Elden Ring alone, baby. You got more.
I did double that in Arceus.
Sorry, that's
it. So yeah. Good to double that in Kirby. Let's go. Yeah. So yeah, wild. Let's talk about Multiversus.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Well, so yeah, you know, we know that the tech test going on. You know, people are playing it, all that kind of fun stuff. I'm going to assume that maybe this character's in it, and that's why the Multiversus team decided to announce that Velma is joining the game.
Velma?
Yeah, kind of surprising. You would expect the second Scooby-Doo to be, well, Scooby-Doo.
No, Old Man Jenkins.
Old Man Jenkins. Darby, you can't say that.
I'm sorry.
Why'd you say that name?
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, I'm sure they have good reason to add Velma, like, as far as moveset potential, if they were going to add her over Scooby, you know? Yeah.
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 Yeah, you could go crazy with it. I mean, like, and I like to see this game is, I mean, kind of not doing the obvious thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna, I mean, okay, that was part of the Smash brilliance. It's like, we're gonna sometimes give you the obvious thing, but sometimes we're gonna give you a little swerve. So you're just, you know, crank that steering wheel in the other direction.
Yep.
Everything.
So very excited for it. Yeah. I'm very curious, like, yeah, what's going to be their kind of choosing characters in the future? Because my only, like, negative I really see, for, like, obviously, I love the whole Scooby gang. I'm generally fine with any of them making it into this game. Because I love Scooby-Doo. But as far as Velma, or not Velma in particular, but a non-Scooby-Doo character is, okay, we probably are going to get Scooby at some point, you would imagine. And that just kind of makes me think, okay, they might focus on a couple key franchises that are kind of spreading the love kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
that's my one fear out of it.
Yeah,
really.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get some double, triple, quadruple up on some of these big ones.
Yeah. Well, Darby, what if I told you we might know what some of those franchises are? Because there's a tech test out, so people have been data mining that.
Of course they have. The internet, you can't hold them down.
And I might have told you some of the stuff earlier, but people have data mined it more, Darby. And I've looked over this stuff. You haven't heard hardly any of this, so let's talk about it. So there's two kind of lists I'm doing. Like the first list I'm going to name is the main list, and it is in the second list. This first list seems kind of more like concrete, like it's someone I kind of trust, like said, yeah, I looked into the data itself and this is what was found for sure kind of thing. While the other one just kind of seems more through over all the internet. It includes this stuff, but might include stuff that's not as true. Okay. So we'll go over the main list first and focus on that. First thing. Yeah, we're going to focus on just non-confirmed characters, obviously. Multiversus original characters, Darby. We got code names. One of them is Brute. People are thinking, well, this is from the second, list that, in the second list, the Incredible Hulk's listed on it from a data mine. And people are thinking the Brute could be a code name for that, but it's looking like it's probably going to be an actual original character that's just a brawler.
Okay, I was about to say they don't own the Hulk, but
they don't. Let me also say this, just for funsies, in the, from the second list, Wreck-It Ralph's also on there, and there's apparently sources in it for a Wreck-It Ralph arcade cabinet.
I mean, I'm down.
Yeah. And the second one is Ninja. So Dari,
they have this Disney connection.
This is the more interesting one, where
this is the streamer Ninja.
No, it doesn't look like to be this character, but there is some framework from a certain anime character. Naruto related stuff is apparently found in this, but people are like, apparently the stuff related to this character uses shadow clones and kunai and shit. Aww. But it's probably not Naruto, because they found more stuff, and this ninja's apparently a her, and people apparently found her icon. I'm about to show it to you right now. What this character apparently looks like.
This is an original?
Yep. It's apparently what she looks like.
It looks like Zaya from League of Legends. Like she even has like a knife thing like that. That's what it looks like to me. She looks cool.
Yep.
She looks evil.
Indeed. So we're getting more, it looks like, original characters, which, okay.
Yeah, I hope they kind of limit those, because we just have so many possibilities.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go down this list. A couple DC characters are in it, apparently. First one, Joker, not too surprising. No. Let's see, what's this? Yeah. Okay. Apparently, Wonder Woman has an alt for another Amazon called Nubia, I think is how we pronounce it.
Oh, yeah. Just for a skin.
Yeah. And then apparently there's a Clark Kent skin for Superman. Not surprising. A second DC character that's Dynamite that's new, Raven.
Hell yeah.
That has a lot of moveset potential right there.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Unfortunately, Arya seems to be the only Game of Thrones character found in it currently, but that doesn't mean it's option.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long game. They're gonna support it.
Let me see, because I haven't seen this movie series in quite a long time, so I want to make sure this is like a main thing. Okay. Next one, Gizmo from Gremlins.
Interesting.
Gremlins moveset potential. Yeah. From Looney Tunes, Taz is one I've told you before.
Yeah.
Basically, LeBron James
from Looney Tunes.
Yes, as well as Marvin the Martian.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Not where I would have gone first, but yeah, you
as far as actually making playable characters, most Looney Tunes characters make sense, but yeah,
they could all do wacky, crazy stuff. Yeah. I mean, they'd all be like technical weird things. Interesting.
From Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, Datamind, and from the initial leak,
as well
as Legolas, apparently found recently in there.
Nice.
Also makes sense.
I would think he would be
Godzilla.
That's awesome. I didn't know they owned.
Rick and Morty. Like, we knew Rick from the initial thing. Morty had also been found. Let's see. Emmett from the Lego Movie. I think it's the main character. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Final one, Darby, from this list. The Iron Giant. Oh,
shit. Oh, shit. I didn't know they owned that either. I thought that was Disney.
Apparently not. I don't think it's Disney, but yeah. But apparently Fred, Johnny, Mad Max, and Harry Potter were not found in there. So I don't know what that means.
Damn, son. Give me that Iron Giant. Yes. Man, that'd be hype as hell.
Yeah, so that seems to be the main things.
I saw that movie like somewhat recently, like in college or whatever. That movie is fucking amazing. That movie's so good.
And that seems to be the main stuff. Yeah. The stuff I mentioned seems to be the main thing. So, Dari, what do you think of that list right there? Basically, good stuff in there.
Very good. Especially Iron Giant. Let's go.
Yeah. Got some nice surprises in there. You know, some obvious things. But yeah, it was like a fun, diverse roster of that's like kind of where they're starting with. And then obviously we'll go beyond that.
I love how different it is, how wide ranging it is, and how they're not afraid to just.
Obviously, this is just kind of people kind of talking on the internet, so none of this is confirmed. Even if they are in the files, some of these characters just may not make it in or may not be in as playable characters. But it's always fun to talk about this stuff, and I'm excited for this game.
Me too.
Darby, but do you know what did not make me excited?
The old Digi evolutions.
Yep. Digimon Con happened this past weekend. I thought I was gonna have the nice 1-2 punch of Digimon Con and getting some Survive news, and then the Pokemon Presents. I expected to come out more excited from the Digimon Con than Pokemon Presents because I thought we were gonna actually get a Survive date. Boy, was I wrong. Darby, I don't know why they did this. If I'm gonna be perfectly honest. As far as the game part of it, this thing was like the whole Digimon Con probably like 5-6 hours long in total because it was all encompassing of Digimon card game, anime, and a bunch of other shit. But they started with a video game hour. They're like, we're gonna talk about our video games and have Q&As and shit. Before I get to what they actually said for Digimon Survive, what they did here was talk about Digimon Survive, and yeah, they didn't really talk about too much. But then they went into Q&A where the person asked them about any game or Digimon game or series or whatever, and they're like, it'd be cool if we were making that, but we're not working at it on the time. Working on this game at this time, or the game in this series at this time, and
they're not working on Survive.
Not like other Digimon games, like Digimon World, Digimon Story, those sub-series of Digimon.
So they had a video game hour to say that we're not making video games.
Yes, that was pretty much what it was. But they started focusing on Digimon Survive. They showed a trailer, which I don't know if I actually seen the trailer because I don't think they actually posted afterwards, and I missed the part of the live stream where they actually showed it and they took it down afterwards. So yeah.
Wonderful promotion, guys.
Yes. But what they did talk about Digimon Survive is there is no release date. And the way they make it talk, I'm questioning if it's even coming out this year. But there's a reason for that. it changed developers at some point, so a whole new team is working on it from the beginning. But at least from the footage they've shown, because there was actual new footage, even if it was like a crazy amount of showing actual new things. It's the same. It's going to be the visual novel-esque, and then the strategy RPG gameplay. But something that's been a turnoff for people, and I can understand it. I'm just neutral on it right now until I see more of the game / play it. The split between visual novel and the strategy RPG gameplay. It's 70% visual novel, 30% the actual strategy gameplay, which might have been more in line when I was probably thinking anyway.
Yeah.
They're gonna focus more on the visual novel part.
That's about what probably the split of like 13 Sentinels was.
I did see people bring up 13 Sentinels,
and the strategy was like not that great, so I was very okay with that. I was like, okay, let's get it over with.
Yeah. So
it all depends on the game.
Yeah, it all depends on the game. And they were talking about, oh, this is good. It was kind of obvious, but they were talking about Digimon is a series where a lot of adults like it, like from the childhood, and they kind of grew up with it and still like it.
It's probably not getting as many kids as Pokemon is getting, so it's probably like you have your fan base.
Yeah, they have different mindsets now with who the games are made for, and they say particularly with this game, this is made with more adults in mind, and it's going to have like darker, adults in mind regarding tone and themes is going to definitely go for a darker story, which is kind of obvious based on what they thought before, but kind of hearing confirmed is good. The title, how long it's going to take to beat the game. There are different routes for it. They said it's going to take 40 to complete one route, and then 80 to 100 hours to experience all the game has to offer, all endings. Damn. So let's fucking go. And they're going to be a little more than 100 Digimon in the game. I don't know if that means like just potentially playable or in general, but that kind of maybe makes sense if like 30% of it is actual gameplay.
How many of them are romanceable though?
I'm going to assume none.
Then why are you buying this game?
So I can romance teenagers. Like Persona.
All right, clip that too. So we're both going to jail. Cool.
This is the episode where we go to jail.
This is it. In the nerds at large. I'm sorry for your loss, Jeff.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm kind of frustrated in the general sense, but at least they're still making and everything, and they changed developers during a pandemic, so I got to give them some slack there.
It's still gonna come out. Just I would.
At least again, this is confirmation that they're still putting all their stuff behind this. This is something that's still real.
Yeah, I would just get out of the market of predicting when this is gonna come out. Yeah. And just we'll let that whenever it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't try to really think too hard about when that's gonna be.
And maybe because all this stuff was kind of translated and shit. Whether it be from subs like they put on the screen or someone in real time dubbing over guys speaking Japanese. Yeah. So it could be misinterpretation as far as it on my part sounding like it's not coming out this year. It might come out late this year, but it might potentially, they were looking at it maybe still coming this year.
Yeah.
But though they didn't reaffirm 2022, so I guess it's that.
I wouldn't count on it. If it happens, lovely surprise.
Yep. All right, Darby, we got some other news and we're heading out of here.
Other news.
I like how no matter how things I feel is going, we always end up close to 2 hours. I feel like we're going to go long, but it looks like we're going to end about there.
Yep. Yeah, it's perfect right there. Some things take longer than you think, and other things are shorter. Yep. It all comes out in the wash.
Nier Automata is getting an anime from Aniplex.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. I wonder how crazy they're going to get with it. How meta.
Oh, there's going to be some things. You're going to have to watch the anime to understand. There's going to be a new ending, whatever the hell, like 53.
Yeah. Each episode is going to be a different ending. They're going to go through the whole alphabet and then ending alpha or some shit.
What are the chances that somewhere in the middle of one of the episodes there's going to be credits? People are going to be like, wait, what?
I'd say 99%.
Someone who played the Nier Automata will be like, no, hold on. Just wait.
Yokotara's our work.
Just wait.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be some weird ass shit.
Indeed. We got our first look at the PSVR 2 actual headset.
Okay, I don't think I saw this.
Yeah. It looks about expected. It looks like it. It looks cleaner. It looks like it's less bulky. They have little vent things on it now, so it shouldn't fog up. The lens shouldn't fog up as much,
cool,
or at all.
Cool.
So there's.
Cool.
there's that, and there's little things here. They go into more details as far as like the tech of it and how it's gonna be stronger.
Do I die in the game? Do I die in real life? Though? Will the headset kill me?
Yeah. But well, they announced the first game that's going to come with it. It's a game called Sword Art Online.
The hilarious thing is there's actual VR Sword Art Online games, and there's just something so meta about that. Yeah. It's just, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like. Even though I know it won't happen, there's some part of me in the back of my brain that would always, like, anytime I would put it on to play that would think of the irony of it and be like, I'm not gonna die, but but
what if I do?
But what if I do? It's like, this is gonna be really ironic if I do that.
Yeah. Final 2014, they had a little presentation thing where they're going over their 10-year plan. May not as big as some people might have thought. They made, and to their credit, they made it clear right away. It's like, you guys are probably expecting big things here. Lower those expectations a little bit. I would say the biggest things they really talked about, they went over graphics. They're going to, over the course of the next 2 years, overhaul the graphics of the whole game, items, characters, everything. But it's kind of funny, and I think it just shows like how much faith people have in these developers that they're okay with it, to where they're going to be some areas where the graphics are updated at some point over these next few years, and some that they're not.
Yeah.
And people, from what I've seen, are just okay with it because they just trust these developers at some point.
It also doesn't
at this point.
It seems like it's a fairly minor upgrade. I'm sure when it all happens, and if you compare, if you in 2 years from now you like compare the old and new side by side, it'll be a lot more obvious. But it's not like they're changing engines and doing like it's not a complete change. It was a lot of it's like lighting and shit like that, which is cool. But
also like how they show like here is a look like completely realistic face and put like a little X over it. It's like we're not doing this. Here's an example of what we're not doing.
Okay.
Yep. So that's all cool, and they're continue to make it easier for solo players, just kind of making it so like dungeons and shit could be played solo if that's the way you desire.
Yeah.
So yep. Streamlining stuff to make it easier to catch up. Games are daunting. Yep. Nintendo acquires Studio SRD. Yeah, I'd be wondering who is that?
Yeah. No.
Well, it is just a studio that just kind of already lives inside of Nintendo, and it kind of helps them with technological stuff and just kind of general stuff for the last 40 years, Darby. So this is one of those acquisitions. That's why it's in the other news, where it's like, well, they're practically owned by Nintendo already, as far as we're concerned. So good on the studio to that. I guess they get more backing or security or whatever this entails them. Yeah, that seems to be what Nintendo's like mindset is with acquisitions for the most part, especially at this point, where it's like, well, longtime partners where we practically own might look like they might be going away. So we're like, no, you're just ours. We're just gonna make sure this stays. Like, if they like, the biggest like acquisition I somewhat expected them is them to just straight up buy Intelligent Systems. Is like the extent I'm realistically expecting.
Please don't buy Monolith Soft. I still want to hold on to the hope that they'll just break away at some point.
Right, they own Monolith Soft.
They do own Monolith Soft.
They like pretty much bought them from Bamco.
Sell Monolith Soft.
Yeah, no, they own Monolith Soft. Epic Games acquires Bandcamp.
Yeah, why?
I mean, they bought Harmonix to music shit. I think this just kind of goes along with that. And they might have looked at Bandcamp and like, oh, this is easy money or something, or not much money to buy, because apparently Bandcamp's been in a lot of like financial trouble recently.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. The only time I'm ever on Bandcamp was like your friend makes an album.
Yeah,
like your friend in your hometown. He like
some of my smaller prog bands that I listen to release exclusively on Bandcamp, so that's my extent of going on Bandcamp.
Yeah, it's like super niche, super small.
Yeah, and I hated how it was disconnected from my other music.
Yeah, it's not the most user friendly thing either.
Yeah. And final thing, according to the website The Direct and corroborated by Jeff Grubb, Star Wars Eclipse is now expected not to release until like 2027 or 2028 because they cannot find developers.
Holy shit.
You know, this is made by or being developed by Quantic Dreams. They had the trailer at the Game Awards, and it was one of those trailers where it's very clear of like, hey, we're working on this, come work for us.
Yeah.
But it turns out when you have a bunch of allegations for a bunch of shit. People may not want to work for you, no matter what you're working on.
Surprise, right? Even with Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like to see that actions have some consequences.
Yeah.
Because not only did they have like allegations, they were like David Cage out there like screaming about it and being like, no, it's like it wasn't. We're gonna investigate.
Yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't help. This is one of those studios with all these allegations where the studio, like, there's the guy who just on a tour that runs the studio, like David Cage is the Kojima of this, where he's not going away.
I don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel sorry for, I guess, the good people there, but you know,
the normal employees there and that kind of stuff. It's like
normal thing, but as a company as a whole, I don't feel sorry for them.
Yeah, kind of sad for those people, and
And obviously, that trailer is just complete nothing. Clearly,
nope. I expect to be far away. Now this is now farther out than I could have dreamed.
Crazy far out.
Yeah, that could potentially be 6 to 7 years after that trailer dropped.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Well, you know what won't be 6 to 7 years after now? The next episode of this podcast. It'll be in 2 weeks.
Fuck yeah.
Look forward to that. We'll, I'm sure, talk more about Elden Ring because you're going to have to hear us talk about Elden Ring for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So strap in. Thank you guys so much for watching. Jeff, thank you for being you.
Thank you for being you.
It's a pleasure.
Make sure you thank Bunger.
Thank you, Bunger, for being our precious boy. We love you so much. And may the way of the hero lead to the burger.
Amen.
Nom, nom, nom.
Num 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 num.